On to Pro Moto number 1 now as Keith Little eyes down the starting grid. There's Jason Dunkelberger, another rider that's a part of our top 10. He's from the Lost Creek Cycle Suzuki team. And the rider that they're all going to be gunning for today, John Natale, your new points leader heading into this round after taking the win in Georgia. The guy he's going up against, Joe Bird, aboard that number 7 Joe Bird Quad Racing School ATV. Other guys that they got to contend with, Jeremiah Jones, who's had some bad luck so far in his 2006 season, and a rider that's been doing a little bit better as the season wears on, the 44 of Chad Wienen, actually winning the qualifier.
I feel really good on the track, really comfortable, real smooth. And just to start today, I didn't have a good start yesterday, and hopefully I can pull it off today and make something happen.
See if he can make it happen here today in Pro Moto number 1 when it really counts, taking the win in that qualifier on Saturday. The gates is down, and we're off into turn number 1, Moto number 1 here at Butts Creek, and John Natale will take the Holeshot for the 3rd consecutive Moto after taking the win in the sweep down in Georgia just a few short weeks ago. Let's take a look at how he did it one more time in our ITP Holeshot. As the gate goes down, you can see the dust rolling off everyone's tire back there, but the perfect line belongs to John Natale as he sets himself up in turn number 1, is able to give a little bit of a nudge there to the 199 of Pat Brown and hold on to the number 1 spot as the battling gets underway here on the opening lap. Natale, then it's Bird aboard the number 7 behind him, Brown aboard the number 199 in an extremely off-camber section of this race course. You see these riders start high on the inside and finish low on the outside, but it also sets them up for the inside of the next turn, which is kind of an advantage coming off of that off-camber section, but you have got to be on your A game whenever you head around that turn. It is Brown back in the number 3 spot, Spader in 4th, but John Natale from Houtzdale, Pennsylvania is in command and control, and this could spell disaster for the rest of our crew. He did it down in Georgia and in 2005. Once John Natale got into his winning ways, he was the man to beat. Look at that battle back there for second right now as Bird is being challenged by Brown. Spader still back in the 4th place position. Digger Doug Gus, the number 55 in 5th place. Chad Wienen in 6th, a good start for him. Tavis Kane in 7th. Corey Ellis 8th. Jason Luberg in 9th. Joe Havistow in 10th and 11th. Keith Little 12th is Harold Goodman 13th. The 191 of Dustin Wimmer. Tim Farr in 14th. Jeremiah Jones in 15th. Not a good start. 16th, the 270 of Josh Creamer. Jason Dunkelberger, the 19 and 17th. 18th, the 101 of Rocco Arno. Matt White in 19th. And Richard Peljat, our Canadian, rounding out the top 20. But all eyes are set and focused on the number 13, the man up front, and that is John Natale. It looks like that Brown has taken over the number 2 position as Joe Bird is left back there to contend with now the number 30 of Travis Spader, who is moving up from the 4th place position, trying to make his mark here in Moto number 1. You can see Spader still in the hunt, the top 4 heading by. There's Digger Doug still in the 5th place position. Gus is going to sit back here for a little while, I'm sure, just to watch to see how things unfold up in front of him before he digs deep late in the Moto to put on the traditional Doug Gus charge. Will he be able to reel in the number 13 of Natale? That question still remains to be answered as Natale continues to stretch things out with each and every turn of the wheel and every inch of this race course. He is just a little bit faster than everyone else out there, and it is going to make for possibly an easy win here in Moto 2, or Moto 1. But as we've seen in several races, even in Moto 2 down in Georgia, John Natale, especially when the conditions are a little warmer, begins to fade a little bit. Don't know what's going on with his training, whether he's overtraining, not training enough, but I know that it has really been giving John Natale fits as of the first 4 rounds of racing. So he's trying to get a handle on it early in the season, and we're actually approaching the midway point of this season, and now is the time for him to get the handle on it and start peaking so he can try to put together a second championship bid here in the 06 season. Of course, he has taken over the points lead away from Joe Bird after that 2-moto sweep down in Georgia. Joe Bird, as we saw just before the race, is really trying to concentrate and trying to stay focused. Good luck has been on Bird's side so far in this 2006 season as he won the first 2 races, and he did it by luck of the draw. I mean, he had some good convincing motos, don't get me wrong there, but more importantly, bad luck on the part of other people is what's played, I guess, the best luck for Joe Bird so far this season. We see Jeremiah Jones, the number 2, working his way up through the pack. He was back about 17th place position on lap number 1, but already working his way toward the top 10. Natale, Brown, Bird, Spader, and Gus, your Parts Unlimited leaderboard in the first moto with a couple of laps under their belt. Natale, again, stretching things out. Look at the gap that they've got starting to open up, but look back behind him in the number 2 spot. That is where the race really seems to be heating up right now, as Joe Bird and Pat Brown obviously had a great battle going on there, and Brown taking the second place position away from Bird at least for a little while, and still does hold on to it as Bird is back at 3rd. Gus is now up to 4th. So Gus is starting to make his move, and Gus is wanting to put some pressure on the number 7 of Bird, because he is a little bit back far into points too, and the more points that he can shave off from Joe Bird, the better opportunity he's going to have to set himself in a position to maybe be a points leader or a points contender when this season is all said and done. Right now the battle for second is on Brown and Bird. No changes there. Brown, wow, you can see how rough this racetrack is getting as Brown bounces all over the race course heading into this turn. Digger Doug Gus watches it all take place from back and forth. You know he is just waiting for the opportunity to sneak by. Riders by the mechanic area. There's the number 30 of Travis Spader. Wienen right behind him in the 6th place position. Chad Wienen winning the Saturday qualifier, and that is a great boost of confidence for this youngster, and obviously it has given him the confidence that he needs to think and feel that he can run up front with these leaders, at least early on in the race. Again, this is a 20-minute plus 1-lap moto as opposed to the 10-minute plus 1-lap moto that you see in the qualifier, so Wienen's going to have to dig deep if he wants to stay competitive throughout the entire 20 minutes, and right now looks like he has got his looks like he's got his sights set on that, and looks like he may be able to pull that off, but time will tell the story. Brown and Bird still going at it for second. You see Bird nearly going by, but not able to make the pass on Brown as he grabs some traction one more time and still holds on to second place. Gust again still back in the 4th place position. Spader back in 5th, but now Spader feeling the pressure from Chad Wienen. We'll check in with that battle coming up here in just a few moments. Right now, the 3-way battle for second place is the youngster Brown feeling the pressure from the veterans of Joe Bird and Digger Doug Gust, and look at the lead that Natali has. Lap number 4, Natali has said see ya, would not want to be ya, and it's going to take a major malfunction on his part in order to take him out of that number 1 spot. Look at this, Bird hungry for that second place position. He wants to get in front of Brown to try to track down Natali to try to regain that points lead. Will he be able to do it? That question again still remains to be answered. The youngster is fighting off and fending off those veterans quite handily right now. Nope, scratch that, make it Joe Bird in the second now as Gus has gotten around in the 3rd. Brown drops off to 4th, and it looks like Wienen has made the pass on the number 30 of Travis Spader. So now our Parts Unlimited leaderboard looks like this. Natali, Bird, Gus, Brown, and Wienen 1st through 5th after 4 laps of racing. And again, another good look at your leader, John Natali. Joe Bird is now solid in the 2nd place position. It looks as though he may have the opportunity to try to reel in the new points leader, the one that took it away from him. And you know the hunger is burning deep in the gut of Joe Bird right now. But also Doug Gust, the 39-year-old Yoshimura Suzuki pilot, has also got a hunger burning deep as he has got his sights set on both those riders just ahead of him. Meanwhile, Wienen is feeling the pressure again from Travis Spader, and Spader is trying to strike back on the progressive suspension Yamaha on the inside. He goes, and he'll make the pass, and here comes Jeremiah Jones right behind him. Jeremiah Jones now up from 17th place in 4 laps to a top 6 ride, and looks like he's working to break into a top 5 position right now as Natali again around that off-camber section seems to be feeling no pressure whatsoever pretty much since the drop of the gate. Since he and Pat Brown touched wheels out of that first turn, it's been all the John Natali show here at Budds Creek, Maryland in round 5 of this ITP Moose Racing ATV National Motocross Series presented by Parts Unlimited. The battle for 3rd now as Digger Doug Gust holds solid onto that position, but Brown is trying to straight back from that 4th place position. Will he be able to remount a challenge and work his way back again? He is fighting the veterans. The youngster, kind of new to the pro class, only a couple of years under his belt, so he's still got some work cut out as far as learning the ropes of ATV professional racing is concerned here in the ITP Moose Racing Series. Natali, again, stretching it out. Bird still in second. He is comfortable. No problems back there in his position. And back in 3rd is where the heat really starts to be turned up, and it looks like Gus maybe at points pulling away from the youngster of Brown and starting to solidify the number 3 position as this moto wears on. But keep an eye out for the number 44, Chad Wienen, Wienen is also working his way up through the pack, starting out in about 6th or 7th place on lap number 1, has moved into a top 5 position. Now look at the battle for 4th place, as it looks like Jeremiah Jones has gotten around Wienen and is now challenging Brown for the 4th place position. So Brown is feeling pressure from yet another veteran, and then to the inside goes Jones, and what a beautifully executed move there as Jones now moves into 4th place. And he's got his sights set up front now on the number 13 of John Natali. I know that's the way Jeremiah Jones is thinking right now, but he's got some fast riders to try to work his way through right now. 2nd place still Joe Bird aboard the number 7. He's trying to regain that points lead. Doug Gus back in the number 3 spot. And 4th place is Jeremiah Jones. 2 Hondas up front, 2 Suzuki's running 3rd and 4th. And the thing about that battle for 3rd and 4th is going to be that these 2 riders are going to be teammates that are going to be tackling each other. And you got to wonder, is Doug Gus going to let Jeremiah go by, or is Jeremiah Jones going to ease up on Gus? I have a hard time believing that either one of those are going to go easy on the other, even though they are on the same team. Right now, back in that number 5 spot, Chad Wienen working his way aboard the number 44 into that position, as he is going to be the contender here, it looks like, in our top 5. As we take a look at that leaderboard one more time, it's Natali, Bird, Gus, Jones. Actually, Brown still holding on to 5th. Spader in 6th. What happened to Wienen? He's dropped all the way back to a 7th place position now aboard the number 44. Dustin Wimmer in 8th, Corey Ellis 9th, Joe Havistow rounding out the top 10. Then it's Keith Little in 11th, and Jason Dunkelberger rounds out the top 12 aboard the number 19 Lost Creek Cycles machine. John Natali, though, is the man up front and the man that is walking away with this Budds Creek Moto number 1. This could be a repeat from here on out of the 2005 season, and if that is the case, it's going to get rather boring up front, and it's going to get exciting seeing how the 2nd place position all breaks down. But with the way we've seen the luck breaking down so far in this 2006 racing season, you got to wonder, will Natali's luck hold out? He had his own bad luck out in Glen Helen in California, round number 1, had pretty much the whole thing sewed up, then lost the seat, dropped from a 1st place position in the 2nd moto all the way back to 4th place, and that allowed the opportunity for Joe Bird to move into the number 1 spot overall, as well as in the 2nd moto. They swapped positions kind of, with Joe Bird taking a 4th and a 1st in California, and John Natali a 1st and a 4th, and that's how things kind of sorted out there. But however it all breaks down here today, we are still a ways away from finding out. This is Moto 1 of 2, and we all know that the 2nd moto, things are a little different as riders get a little bit more aggressive as the race day wears on. They're starting to look at their paychecks toward the end of the day. They say, I didn't fare so well in Moto number 1. It's time to whip it up just a little bit here in the 2nd moto, and that's when we start to see things really unfold for the youngsters that are trying to make their claims in pro racing, and those seasoned veterans that usually end up coming out on top whenever it's all said and done. They get held up every once in a while, maybe even knocked off the track a time or two, which throws them way behind. But the important thing is, especially in the 2nd moto, is the strongest start as possible. Right now, it is not much of a change up front with the battling the way that it is. It is still Bird trying to chase down Natali. All the while, Gus is trying not only to chase down Bird, but he's trying to fend off his teammate of Jeremiah Jones, who's probably put together the fastest ride so far here today, from having to come from so far back in the pack. And, lap times probably, or positions, not really indicating how fast the lap times that Jeremiah Jones has been able to pull. But I know that if you were to watch Jeremiah Jones individually, you would be utterly amazed at how fast this kid is able to work his way around not only this racetrack, but any racetrack. Looks like troubles for one of our Yamaha pilots. I'm not sure if that was Spader or not, off to the side of the race course, or maybe even Ellis, or is this Ellis here? Let's see. Got a Yamaha pilot. That's Spader there. Travis Spader is in the 6th place position, so it looks like that is Pat Brown that has broke down, and that's going to make it tough to score any points today and make any marks as far as round 5 here at Budds Creek, Maryland is concerned. So you know that right now that Brown is just reeling inside. He is upset, but what can you do? He's just going to have to try to go and get it fixed and get back out there in the 2nd moto. Look at the battle for 3rd starting to heat up. They're closing the gap on the number 7 of Joe Bird. All the while, John Natali is starting to see the gap close up behind him too. He must be beginning to fade a little bit. Endurance could be an issue. The temperatures are a little warmer than they were in Georgia. John had gotten off to a very strong start. He's still got a fairly comfortable gap back to 2nd place between he and Joe Bird, but not nearly as comfortable as it was earlier in the moto. Bird still in 2nd, but he feels the pressure from the 55 of Gus, and Gus is having pressure applied to him by the number 2, his teammate Jeremiah Jones back there. So the battle for third right now is the tight one, but it could also quickly turn into a battle for the second place position, as we can see now that Gus has picked up the pace a little bit, starting to try to stretch it out over Jeremiah Jones as he's closing in now on the number 7 of Bird. So this very easily could be a three-way battle with a blink of an eye here at Budds Creek. There they go down to the bottom of the hill. Long drive up and toward that. Well, they're going to 180 and then down into this off-camber section. Looks like Natalie's going to go way outside, then try to hug to the inside, and then slide back down to the inside of the next turn, which is the outside of that turn. But it's setting him up perfectly. It looks like that's the same line that all these riders are trying to use. Stay up close and high and let themselves drift to the outside to set themselves up for the next turn. Natalie, your leader, late in the race. Bird still in second. It is Gus still in third. Jones still in the number 4 spot. Jones out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. We'll be heading down there for round number 14 at the end of the season. And you got to wonder, where will Jeremiah Jones be as far as the points are concerned whenever he heads to his hometown track? I'm sure he would like to be in a position where he could challenge John Natale, Joe Bird, Doug Gust, or whoever happens to have the points lead at that particular point in the series as we head down toward the end of the road as far as the 2006 season is concerned. Things not too awfully exciting as of the last couple of laps until just now, as finally the gaps have closed between second and third and fourth, and this is quickly turning into a three-way battle and maybe even a four-way battle for the number 1 spot. Is Natale actually a little out of rhythm coming up the uphill section? And look at this, it is Gust and Bird together. They're on the outside of the track there. They're tangled up, and tough break for the third and now third and fourth place riders as Jeremiah Jones gets the gimme and moves into the second place position. You can tell that both Gust and Bird are very disgusted and very, very upset with the way things are going right now. They're just trying to get back into it. Look at this. Chad Wienen has moved up from 5th now, closed that gap, and taken over the number 3 position as Joe Bird gets back in the hunt, but he's going to be several positions down and a lot of time behind the number 13 of John Natale. Natale gets the big break there. Now he's got to try to contend with that rider right there, the number 2 of Jeremiah Jones, and Jeremiah Jones just might have got the adrenaline rush he was looking for. I think after being able to get around both Bird and Gust, his teammate, he is now tasting the possibility of being able to win this race here at Budds Creek if luck can hold out to him to the checkers. It is Chad Wienen in third. Travis Spader moves back up into a 4th place position. And the battle for 5th now between Joe Bird and Dustin Wimmer. Wimmer, a new face on the scene, so to speak, in the pro class, has been trying to make his mark over the last couple of years. Not technically a rookie, but he is still a youngster as far as pro ATV racing is concerned. And right now, Joe Bird is trying to distance himself from the youngster and trying to catch back up to close that gap up, if nothing else, to get into a 3rd place position, a podium position finish in Moto number 1 to try to set himself up for a little better finish in Moto number 2 in the overall. But right now the battle for the lead is on. John Natale, Jeremiah Jones. Can Natale hold on? Again, the temperature's a little warmer than it was a couple of weeks ago, and Natale appears to have slowed down just a little bit, allowing the opportunity for the number 2 of Jeremiah Jones to sneak up and quite possibly be a force to be reckoned with. Way back in the number 3 spot, Chad Wienen aboard the number 44. 4th place, Spader still aboard the number 30. And the number 7 of Joe Bird solidly in 5th, with 6th place ride being the number 191 of Dustin Wimmer. 1 lap to go. John Natale now has to fend off Jeremiah Jones, and Jones has gotten yet another adrenaline boost as it looks like the hunger of the last lap has finally hit his appetite, and he is all over the rear wheel of John Natale all the way around this race course in this final lap of racing, over the tabletops, in and out of the turns. He's showing John Natale a wheel, pulling up side by side, and on the outside, Jones, can he make it stick? Yes, he will. Jones will move into the number 1 spot now. He's your new leader. John Natale looked like he had this one in the bag at about the halfway point of the race, but don't let that big gap fool you, folks, because Jeremiah Jones was able to track him down and make the pass and see if he can take the win here today. Only a few turns left to go, and Jeremiah Jones will win Moto number 1 here in round number 5 at Budds Creek, Maryland. The ITP Moose Racing ATVA National Motocross Series presented to you by Parts Unlimited, brought to you in part by Suzuki and ATV Sport Magazine. Jeremiah Jones finally getting things put together here in Budds Creek, and he looks like the master commander. And this could spell trouble for the champion, John Natale, as well as the rest of the field, because it looked like Natale was the one that was going to walk away with things. But Jeremiah Jones hunts him down, passes him, and now John Natale heads to the finish line with his head down. Shouldn't be down too much, but a second place finish. But you know that John is thinking, why did I throw away such a huge lead to Jeremiah Jones? Now Jones takes Moto 1 win. Natale will finish up in second, and you can see the congratulations there from the champion of John Natale. And look at this, third place Moto number 1, Chad Wienen, getting the congratulations just past the finish line region there. As you know, a lot of folks are proud of that youngster out of Illinois. We head down to the winner's circle now to talk with our winners.
What I've been looking for all year long. It's what I've been doing my homework at home. Really looking forward to, the second moto. I felt strong in that moto, so I think things, work out my way. The guys on the Suzuki 10 have really been doing a good job this weekend, and it's showing.
It feels great, to get that one off my back, and I could have never believed it my first year in the pro class that I would be up here on, not quite the podium, but the first moto podium, so it feels great to be up here.
Yeah, we pulled out the great Holeshot. My Rage motor put me out front again, and the bike was working real well. I just got a little arm pump in my right arm, and I couldn't push the throttle right. So, that's just something I got to work on, get rid of this arm pump. I haven't had it for a few years, and now it's starting to come back. But we'll get rid of it, and hopefully the second motor will come out and do a little bit better.
Well, they always say that the second championship is harder to win than the first one. And John Natale is getting a big taste of that medicine right now. Jones takes Moto 1 win, Natale in second, Wienen in third, Bird holds on the fourth. Spader rounds out your top 5. Look at that. Doug Gus drops all the way back to 11th after that tangle up with Joe Bird. He's got to be disgusted. We'll see if he can rebound in Moto 2.